Okay, so another new concept. So now we're going to be dealing with absolute values when it comes to inequalities. So the first thing, we talked about conjunctions and disjunctions before when we talked about inequalities and like putting them together and stuff like that. So a conjunction can be replaced with the absolute value statement of less than, and disjunction can be replaced with the absolute value statement of greater than. So essentially what this means is when we have the absolute value is less than some value, that's a conjunction. Or that means that we have that kind of like negative a is less than x is less than a, which we'll talk about the graph of it in just a second. But that's like between two values. So if we have a disjunction, then we have the absolute value is greater than a. Okay, so that means that we have like two scenarios. So we have this happening or this is happening. So x is going in this direction or it's going in that direction. Okay, so make sure you guys understand that. And also when we look at the graphs, so when we have less than, like this guy, we're in between. Okay, we're in between those, the positive and the negative of that value. When it is greater than or equal to like this, we are going in the opposite direction. So make sure you get that in your notes for sure, because that's such an easy thing, but it's also a really easy thing to forget. So if x is less than some number, our graph is going to be like between two values. If x is greater than some number, then it's going in the opposite directions. Okay? So let's take a look at these. These are all going to be conjunctions. So let's just look at some different scenarios. Graph the solution. So we have solve the absolute value of x minus 5 is less than or equal to 2. So I'm solving it the exact same way as I would any other problem. And then I'll graph our first ones for each of these. So on both of these, I'm going to have plus 5. So x is less than or equal to 7, plus 5, plus 5. X is less than or equal to 3. Okay? So that means we have this little guy. So x is going to be less than, oh shoot, you know what? This is perfect. So I forgot to do something. So when I did the negative, or when I added my negative, remember when you have a negative, you need to flip the sign. So these need to be flipped. That's a mistake on my part. So 3 is going to be between, or x is going to be between 3 and 7. So we're going to have 3 over here, we'll have 7 over here, and x is going to be anywhere between that. And I'm closing those circles because it's less than and greater than or equal to. So that's all we need to do on this one. All right, next, just like before when we had the equal sign, when we are dealing with inequalities, or absolute values, when we're dealing with absolute values, before we evaluate that piece of it, we have to get the absolute value by itself. So the first thing we need to do in this problem is we're going to subtract 4 from both sides. Now that'll leave us with negative 2, absolute value of 3x is less than, or greater than or equal to, 2. And then I need to divide both sides by negative 2. Now when I divide both sides by negative 2, that's going to leave me with the absolute value of 3x is less than or equal to negative 1. Okay? Now I'm going to stop us right here, let you take a look at that for just a second, and realize that there's something wrong. Okay, so this guy right here, we can't have an absolute value even though we're dealing with inequalities. We still have a negative over there, so we can't have absolute values being equal or less than or equal to negative numbers, so this one has no solutions. Okay? So that's all we have for this video. The next part, we're going to take a look at disjunctions. Okay?